Just waiting for it to turn 7 o'clock and then I'll get started. Here we go. It's 7 p.m. Thanks everyone for joining me tonight for the Healthy Planet Consumer webinar. I am Jolene Gruber. I am going to walk you through the webinar tonight. Before we get started, I'll just tell you a little bit about me. I'm a national educator with Organica Health Products. I'm also a mom of 2 boys. That picture there is a picture of us in our hockey jerseys. They're much older now. They're now 15 and a half and 17, and they're much taller as well. But I am a hockey mom. I'm also an athlete. I love playing sports. And as I mentioned, I am the national educator with Organica. I've been a nutritionist for just over 20 years now. And I love learning about everything nutrition, supplementation, and just healthy lifestyles. So hoping to share some of the things that I've learned with you guys tonight. A little bit about Organica and who we are. Organica is a natural wellness and beauty company from beautiful British Columbia, Canada. We love helping people live healthier lives, and we've been doing it for the past actually 32 years. We just had our anniversary this past August, and we've grown from a humble line of supplements to an always evolving collection of natural health and beauty products, including Canada's #1 collagen powder. We are the 4th recognized brand in Canada, and our quest is to guide people to better health through a genuine passion for wellness and innovation. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And tonight the topic is, how can you strengthen your immune system this season? So lots to go over. I'm going to focus on the foundation of a good immune system, the role a healthy gut plays in immunity, how can you protect yourself from the seasonal cold and flu, and what's the role of collagen in gut health and immunity, and do you need it? Natural remedies that have worked for centuries, and what are they? And what supplements are key for a healthy gut and immunity? I love this topic. It's a great time of year to focus on it as well. So I will start with the foundations of a good immune system. So you can see the pictures here. The first one, cut down on sugar. So we've been told that many times probably in our life, but studies have shown that spikes in sugar can really suppress our immune system. For every tablespoon, I think it depletes our immune system for about 4 to 5 hours. And you've probably noticed, for those of you that have children, what are the times of the year that kids get sick? Well, it's coming up, Halloween. Shortly after Halloween, I always found when my kids were younger and they used to trick or treat, 2 weeks after, they were down with a cold or flu. So, and it was the sugar. You try and monitor how much they have, hide it, put it away, but inevitably they usually have too much sugar around that time of year. Christmas, Easter are other big ones because we usually indulge more in sugar. I remember, I think my late teens, early 20s, I always seemed to get sick after Christmas. And it was probably because I was indulging, probably staying up late, not getting enough sleep, going out, having fun with friends. And I always got a really bad cold after Christmas. So definitely cutting down on sugar helps. When your immune system is compromised, you're more likely to get sick. So eliminate or swap out those sugary drinks and those foods, and increase healing drinks. I'll talk about that tonight, but something like a bone broth is a really good healing drink, and or even just water. Look for drinks that are, I always say start with your drinks, because a lot of people consume a lot of sugar in their drinks, from iced tea, pop, lots of sugar in their coffees, their teas, their lattes alone. A lot of people start their day with sugar in those hot drinks as well. So try swapping out your drinks for something that does not have sugar. That's a great kind of way to start. And try then swapping out your 3 o'clock coffee for maybe something more healing, like I mentioned before, a bone broth, and just try and get rid of those sugars. So it's really important to do that for your immune system. Don't forget to hydrate. That's really important. Drinking enough water daily is super, super important because our body, of course, is made up of over 60% water, and drinking water is great for regulating our temperature. It keeps our joints lubricated, and it delivers nutrients to our cells. So just making sure we're maintaining the balance of fluid in the body, which is really important because, again, our body is made up of over 60% water. So some good tips if you have a hard time consuming enough water is try room temperature water. That's always easier to drink more. Sometimes if we have ice and our water is very cold, it's difficult to drink enough. Also, you can try using a straw. Drinking with a straw is great because you can actually consume a lot more liquid with a straw than just drinking it on its own. So that's really important. Getting enough sleep is super, super great for our immune system. If there's one thing you can do overnight to improve your sleep or your health or your immunity, it's sleep. Sleep is by far one of my favorite things to talk about. And, a good sleep improves your brain performance, your mood, your immunity, and your health. So getting enough Z's can help even prevent weight gain. There's studies that show that because usually when we're not sleeping enough, that can really affect our hormones and increase our insulin, which cause us to eat a lot more throughout the day. So making sure we're getting really good sleep will really improve our mood and we will feel better. A little thing pop up here. Okay, great. Next, I'm going to move on to the role a healthy gut plays in the immunity. So we've got improved mood, effective digestion, and a strong immune system. So gut bacteria is really important for our mood. Food and mood are very connected, and our gut bacteria is very connected to our mood. So our gut bacteria manufacture about 95% of the body's serotonin. So that really affects our mood. So serotonin influences our mood and our gastrointestinal activity. So it's really important to make sure that our gut health is optimal because it really does affect how we feel each day and how our mood is. Our effective digestion is really important for immunity. So healthy bowel transit time, consistent energy, and elimination of toxins really support our immune system. So what I mean by a healthy bowel transit time is from the moment we put food into our mouth to the moment we excrete it through the bowel, that's our bowel transit time. So ideally you want to be around 24 hours, okay, give or take. Now, if someone is not having a bowel movement, I'll share a story. Over 20 years ago when my mom was in her 50s, she was very constipated. She did not have daily bowel movements. She maybe went once or twice a week. And she thought that was normal. So when I was in school doing my holistic nutrition designation, I started learning about the bowels and how important it is to have effective digestion, and realize, wow, you really have to make sure that you are eliminating at least daily to get rid of all these toxins. So having a healthy bowel transit time is really good for your immune system because it's your biggest mode of elimination, okay? When you have a bowel movement, you're eliminating not only food that's gone through your digestive system, but you're also eliminating a lot of toxins in your body. So the more clean your body is and the less toxins, the better your digestive system will work and the better your immune system will be. So that healthy bowel transit time is a big one and really important to make sure we are eliminating daily. So if you think about your intestinal health or your digestive tract, it goes from your mouth right through to your bowels. So having an effective digestive system is key for immune health. So if you're wanting to test, to see, gosh, how well is my bowel transit time? Eat something like corn or beets because you'll see it when you have the next bowel movement. That's a good kind of at-home test to see how healthy your bowel transit time is. So just remember that your bowels are your biggest mode of elimination. And if they're not eliminating efficiently, your body is going to defer it to the next biggest elimination system, which is our skin. So that's when we'll see, issues with our skin, maybe psoriasis, acne, and things like that will get worse if we're not eliminating properly. So not only is the bowel transit time good for our immune system, but it's really good for our skin as well. So we want to make sure that we're eliminating through our bowels daily. Consistent energy is great because when we have an effective digestive system, we will be energized. When our digestive system is sluggish, we have more toxins in our body and we don't have as much energy. So really important to make sure our energy is consistent. And when we eliminate the toxins, again, it supports our immune system. So I think that's number one. And going back to the last slide, hydration and drinking enough water, that's the biggest thing with the bowels or the gut health, is making sure we are getting enough water. As a nutritionist, if I'm speaking to someone about the bowels and maybe constipation, maybe a lot of younger children are constipated, and the first question I always ask is, are they drinking enough water? Usually they're not. So that's number one. And there's other things I'll go into tonight which help support the gut and the digestive system, but really making sure we're hydrated and we're drinking enough water is really important. Strong immune system. So 70–80% of our immune system is in the gut. So when we're born, we have about 80% good bacteria in our digestive system. So if if a baby is born vaginally, the mother will pass on those good probiotics to the baby. If a baby is born via C-section, you won't get that. So it's really important to make sure we supplement after for the baby, just to make sure they're getting some good bacteria. But ideally, when we're born, we have about 80% good bacteria in our gut. And then, unfortunately, as soon as we do stuff like take antibiotics, if we get an infection, the antibiotics will do its job. It'll wipe out all the bad bacteria. And unfortunately, it wipes out all our good bacteria too. So really important to make sure if we do have to go on to antibiotics, we replace that bad bacteria with some good bacteria, like probiotics, like fermented foods, like sauerkraut, kimchi, things like that are really good to eat to replace good bacteria as well. But the gut bacteria is really important because it's great for a healthy microbiome. You guys have probably heard microbiome a lot of times. That's our gut health and our immunity. So really making sure we replace that good bacteria. As soon as we start drinking city water, I know here in Ontario, the city water does have a lot of chlorine to fight pathogens, and it'll do that job. But when we're drinking chlorinated tap water, that really does a number on our good bacteria in our gut as well. So making sure that we're replacing that good bacteria that we need. So the gut bacteria are so important because they produce vitamins, they communicate with our immune system, they help our body fight off infection. So when we have good bacteria in our gut, it's really, really important for staying healthy because it really helps with our immunity. The foods that we eat affect the diversity and the composition of the bacteria in the gut. So fermented foods, like I had mentioned, sauerkraut, kimchi, these are all great probiotics. And supplementing with probiotics are also great because they help with the gut health because they contain those good bacteria that we need. So did you know that collagen supports a healthy gut and your immunity? This question comes up a lot because collagen is fabulous because it strengthens the immune system. It also supports the immune function by healing the gut lining, and collagen increases our metabolism. So it strengthens our immune system. It supports immune function because it heals the gut lining. So in our intestine, if you think about the path of food, when you put food in your mouth, you start chewing, you automatically start salivating, you swallow that food and it goes down your esophagus through a motion called peristalsis. That's just a wave-like motion that naturally pushes the food down. Then it goes into our stomach, and in our stomach is where the digestion starts to happen. The food gets turned into something that's called a bolus, and all our digestive enzymes start breaking that food apart and start the process of digestion. From there, it goes into the intestine, and that's where all the nutrients are they're taken up by the body, and then it moves along the intestine, and then it goes through the bowels, and then we have a bowel movement. So the whole process of digestion, or the path of digestion, is really important. And in that intestinal tract is where we have all these little microscopic villi, and the villi absorb all the nutrients and bring it to the blood, and it moves all the food along in our intestine. So really great to make sure we're eating fibrous foods and good foods. But the collagen is really good because it supports the immune function, because it heals that gut lining. Over time, if we've had some wear and tear in our intestine, we've had a lot of maybe antibiotics, maybe we haven't ate, we don't have a good diet. The collagen is great because it provides vitamins and nutrients that's in the collagen, and it strengthens you from the inside out. So collagen is really good for that lining of the intestine, and it's very healthy for the gut. It's a protein, and it's found in bone broth, and it's also on its own. It can be used, in bone broth as a general tonic, but it's also found alone in our enhanced collagen that we have. But the collagen is a very good source of protein, and it's in the bone broth, but it's also isolated on its own in enhanced collagen, and it's really a concentrated powder, and it's a supplement. It's really beneficial because you get a bigger dose in collagen, and it has so many amino acids like glycine, glutamine, proline, there's hydroxyproline and arginine. These are all really good amino acids, and they're kind of like the all-stars that are terrific at keeping our joints healthy, our digestive system running on all cylinders, and it's really good for your nervous system, and it supports recovery, like sports recovery, because of the protein. But the collagen specifically is great for our gut because it helps in the lining of the gut. And as I mentioned before, that's a big part of our immune system. So very important to make sure we're supporting our gut in that way. It also boosts metabolism. So because collagen is found in bone broth, it's also in its own supplement in a powder form, and enhanced collagen. It's a complex protein, and it has over 19 amino acids. So it's really great for a healthy gut and a strong immune system. As I mentioned before, your gut and your immune system are very connected. So we want to make sure we're having our gut in top shape to make sure our immune system is really supported. So again, bone broth and collagen are great. They're great, additions, I guess, to your daily diet. I like to think of them as filling in the gaps nutritionally. I love having them daily, and they're kind of additions to your nutritional arsenal. And you can mix it however you like. Collagen is flavorless and odorless. You can put it in hot drinks, cold drinks. You can put it in coffees. You can bake with it. Of course, bone broth, there's chicken, there's beef, there's veggie. You can mix it in hot water and drink it like a tea. You can make soups. There's lots of ways that you can use it in foods as well. Personally, I love to mix the two of them together, especially in the evening for some good protein, kind of after dinner if I'm hungry. I don't like to eat too close to bedtime because it's not great for digestion, but sometimes I'll mix a collagen and a bone broth with some sea salt and sip on that, and that is fabulous for the gut. It's super healthy. It's also great first thing in the morning, before you have your coffee or your tea or your morning drink, because it really helps heal that gut lining. So another tip, if anyone has any intestinal or bowel issues, it's really, really great to have that first thing in the morning to help with the gut health, which of course in turn will help with your immune system. Okay, how can you best protect yourself from the seasonal cold and flu? Well, there's working out. I have for number one. Working out is great. Of course, you not only get the physical benefits of exercise, but when you exercise and you sweat, you're flushing out some toxins. Like I said earlier, your skin is one of your biggest elimination systems next to the bowel. So when you're working out and you're sweating, it's really great because you're releasing all these toxins. Also, infrared saunas are great for that as well because you get a little bit of a sweat going. So you're actually flushing out a lot of bacteria. When you work out, you'll flush the lungs. You'll have get rid of a lot of bacteria in the lungs and the airway. So really good for the respiratory system. But like I said, we push out a lot of toxins through sweat, and that reduces your chance of getting a cold or flu, because when you have less toxins in your body, your immune system is working a lot better, and you'll prevent any chance of getting ill. So you'll be a little bit healthier when you're exercising more. And then exercise causes a change in the antibodies, and the white blood cells are the body's immune cells that fight infections. So it's really good for that as well. So number 2, consume enough protein daily. This is fabulous. And sometimes people say, well, how can that protect me from the cold and flu? Protein. Well, back to my first slide when I was talking about sugar, I find as a nutritionist, a lot of people don't consume enough protein, and especially adults. So we're going a little heavy on the sugars. And when we're consuming too much sugar, it depletes our immune system. So if we can kind of crowd out the junk and add more protein in our diet, we're not going to consume as much sugar. So that will really help with our immune system. But definitely North America as a society, we consume way too much sugar. So anytime we can sneak in more protein, it's great. And tools like bone broth and collagen drinks are just ways that you can kind of fill in the gaps and make sure you're getting enough protein daily. Just kind of make sure with every meal you're at least getting 25 grams of protein, because that's really key. So 3 eggs are approximately 25 grams of protein. So that's a great thing to have in the morning. Eggs, if you like eggs, fabulous to have because you're getting lots of protein as well. Of course, when you're having eggs, it would be preferred if you had the yolk runny, because when the yolk's runny, it contains a nutrient called lecithin. And that's great for so many things. It's really good for good fats in the body. It's good for emulsifying bad fats and cholesterol. So if you can have them poached or have the yolk runny, that's advantageous. When you cook the yolk or you scramble it, you're not getting that lecithin. So of course, once in a while, it's fine to do that. My kids, they love scrambled eggs. I scramble theirs. I personally prefer poached eggs, and I love eating them that way. But as much as you can, having the whole egg with the yolk runny is amazing because it's a great source of protein. Again, 3 eggs are 25 grams of protein. So fabulous, fabulous, fabulous to have to start first thing in the morning, lunch, whenever you start your day, the first meal. Eggs are fabulous. And you can have eggs for dinner too. They're not just for morning. So sometimes if I'm in a rush or if I'm on the go, eggs are my go-to because they're complete protein. They have all 22 amino acids. So that's something, it's one of those great foods, and you definitely want to be having the whole egg, the yolk and the egg white. Number 3, swap out sugar drinks. I've talked about this a couple times tonight. I think that's just such a big one, especially for immunity. Replace them with nourishing drinks. Look for no sugar. You can have, there's great electrolyte drinks that are 0 sugar, no additives. There's water. You can put Instant C Immunity from Organica. They have a lot of good nutrients. They have vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc, and they're just little tabs that you plop in some water. You can kind of see the picture in the background here, but just trying to swap out the sugary drinks is a great place to start for your immune system. So think of it as crowding out the junk. I always work, with my family and really monitor the types of drinks that we have. And I really try and focus, especially my kids, they're in high school, they play a lot of sports. Water all day, and electrolytes with 0 sugar. Of course, on the weekend, they're going to be with their friends. I can't, I don't alienate them. They can have, they'll have some not so great drinks that I'm sure contain sugar on the weekends when they're with their friends. But really, for a healthy immune system and making sure they stay healthy, you want to eliminate the sugar as much as possible. Number 4, diaphragmatic breathing is great. It helps, it expands the lungs. And when I'm talking about diaphragmatic breathing, it's the big inhale with your nose and exhale. You can even have a pause in between the inhale and exhale. A lot of people that do yoga are fabulous at this, and it's very good for stress reduction as well. But what it does is it expands the lungs and it increases the efficiency of oxygen. So you're breathing in oxygen and your stress goes down. Actually, when you do the deep breathing, it's telling your body, okay, put cortisol away. If we're, rushing constantly and running everywhere, we're constantly producing cortisol, and it's almost like that rushing women syndrome, I call it when I'm speaking with women, and we're constantly running and living on cortisol. When we do that big deep breath and we pause and then we exhale, we put the cortisol away and our stress comes down. So when our stress comes down, our immune system is supported. So just by being stressed out can really, really affect our immune system. So this breathing is really great because it not only improves our immune system, but it strengthens the muscles in the chest. It also improves digestion. We never want to eat when we're stressed. If you can imagine eating when you're stressed, it won't be efficient. You won't, your digestive system won't work properly, and you won't get the most out of your nutrients. You won't be absorbing it. So you really want to make sure when you're eating, you can sit down, you relax, you have some deep breaths, and then you enjoy your meal. And the breathing really helps with the quality of sleep as well, because again, it's putting that stress away. And of course, you're reducing the stress, which strengthens the immune system. When we're stressed out, we're more apt to get colds and flus and be sick. So we all have those friends that are chronically sick. You get together for a potluck and they're on antibiotics for this infection, and they're flying, for their work, or they're just not sleeping enough and they're chronically sick. They really need to build their immune system. So sleep is really good. Deep breathing is great as well. Number 5 is get adequate sleep. So of course, again, making sure that we are sleeping well every night. Of course, going to bed at 10 p.m. is fabulous for our immune system. It's also just fabulous for our health. It's hard. Our biological clock would love us to get to sleep at 10 p.m. every night. I know it's not going to happen for me. Although I would love to. My kids, they both play rep hockey and we're not home until 11, but I try and sleep in on the weekends. I try and get good sleep as much as I can. And I used to love getting up, around 6 a.m. Now I get up probably around 7. It's just, it's what it is because I'm going to bed later. But as much as you can, try not to push past that second wind and stay up until, past midnight, because that really messes up our circadian rhythm, and sleep is super important. As I mentioned before, if there's one thing we can do overnight to improve our health, it's get adequate sleep. So sleep is super, super important for that. Taking quality supplements for gut health and immunity is key. I'm a firm believer that I think we need to eat as great as we can, get our nourishment from food. I myself love to fill in the gaps with supplements because farming practices aren't the same. There's so much processing done to food, and it's really hard to get everything we can from our diet. So taking adequate supplements for gut health is fabulous. I mentioned collagen, and the collagen in broths have lots of minerals and nutrients, and they're really good for our gut health and our immunity. But you can do lots, with supplements. For your immune system, you can take different supplements that will help build your immune system. Like I said, we all have those friends that are chronically sick and always on, antibiotics because they're not feeling well. And for people like that, building their immune system is really key. Probiotics are great from a supplement probiotic. You can also get probiotics from foods, like fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi are great. If you go to any health food store, they can help you if you're looking for good bacteria or fermented foods. They can be, they have a wealth of knowledge in health food stores. And you can really learn if you go into the Healthy Planet stores, what foods are good to support good probiotics. And of course, there's supplements with probiotics. that make it easier as well. But making sure that we're building our immune system if we're chronically sick and we're not sleeping is really important. So probiotics are great for sort of those builders. Vitamin D is fantastic, especially this time of year. You want to make sure you're taking enough vitamin D. There's, I think we want, I think Health Canada a couple of years changed the daily recommended dose of vitamin D from 1,000 IU per day to 2,500. So especially when we're getting into the colder months where we're not absorbing the vitamin D from the sun. Want to make sure we're taking vitamin D for our immune system and build the immune system. Vitamin C and zinc, of course, are fabulous. If you catch a cold or a flu, you can, take those immune boosters that are great. Even sipping on, they say chicken soup is great because that broth is so nutritious. So things like that are great when we get a cold or a flu. Vitamin C is fabulous. Or oil of oregano, zinc. These are all just a few supplements that are fabulous immune boosters when we get sick. And if you're one of those people that are chronically sick, you want to look at the builders. That'll really help build your immune system back up if you've, had a struggle for the past few years with your immune system. And that'll really help. Next slide, the benefits of supplements. So I mentioned a few in the last slide. So just to go over, of course, vitamin C, it's been well known for many, many years as a great supplement for the immune system. It's a water-soluble vitamin. So it's also known as ascorbic acid, but it's a great antioxidant. It's great for the immune system. It's great for skin health. It does so much. And like I said, it's one of the most widely known vitamins in our modern world. So it's really good if you get a cold, take it. It decreases the severity of a cold and you can take it daily. I know my family, we're taking vitamin C daily and we'll probably continue on it until the spring. But our body doesn't make vitamin C, so we have to rely on it from food and supplement sources. So it's one of the great products that we can take to help with our immune system. Zinc is also fabulous. It's great for the immunity. It's also great for skin health. I know teenagers when they're going through puberty, they sometimes get breakouts and acne. Zinc is fabulous for the skin. It's also great for wound healing. If you have a wound or if you've had a surgery, it's fabulous. But of course, it's so good for building the immune system back up. And it's also an antioxidant. But our soils are very depleted because of farming practices, and we're not getting a lot of zinc in our diet. So we want to make sure if we're not getting it, we are taking some zinc, and especially if we have skin issues or we have we want to enhance our immunity. Zinc is fabulous for that. Vitamin D is great because again, we're not getting a lot of sunshine at this time of the year, and D is known as the sunshine vitamin. So when we're directly exposed to the sun, we're going to absorb it. But in the winter time, we're covering up, it's cold. We're not spending a lot of time outside. And our biggest surface area of our body, like our back and our chest, are not absorbing the sun. Unless we go on vacation, then definitely in the winter, if you go away to Florida or somewhere hot, make sure you are in your bathing suit and you're soaking up the sun and you're getting, a little bit of vitamin D daily because that is so good for the immune system. But it's produced in your skin. So when we get the sunlight, it responds to it. And in these winter months, it's important to supplement with vitamin D. It's a fat soluble vitamin. So, it's good for so many things. The immune system, it's good for bones. It's good for our teeth. It's great for the absorption of calcium as well, but it's definitely a great supplement to take in the winter months. Probiotics are fabulous. As I mentioned before, they're so important for the gut microbiome, which is the health of our gut. And I mentioned before, food and mood, our gut, it's all so connected. But when we're born, we have over 80% good bacteria or probiotics in our intestines. So as soon as we start taking, antibiotics, chlorinated water, junk food, again, we're depleting all that good bacteria. So it's really important to make sure if we have to go on a course of antibiotics, we're then taking our probiotics to replace that good bacteria. So good for the gut health and the immune system. Bee propolis, that's another one that's fabulous. And a lot of people don't really know a lot about bee propolis, but basically it's bee glue, is what I call it. It's a resinous mixture that honeybees, they produce by mixing saliva in their mouth and beeswax that they gather from tree buds, flowers, or other botanical sources. And they use it as a sealant for any unwanted spaces inside the beehive. So it's really interesting. Mother Nature gets it right. It works because it's antimicrobial, and it's an agent that keeps diseases and any bacteria out of the hive. So I just think it's pretty cool, but it's also very good for us to consume because it's so good for our immune system. There's a lot of great things, but basically it treats, it's antiseptic, it's anti-inflammatory, it's antibacterial, it's antifungal. There's so many great things that you can use it for, but for immunity, it's amazing because it's a good source of antioxidants. Anything oral, it fights sore throats, canker sores, any inflammation of the mouth, it's fabulous for. You can easily squeeze it in water, you can spray it in your mouth, but it's easy to take, and it's easy for children to the elderly. It's a great product for sure. Then lastly, number 6, I have quercetin with bromelain. This is a great product. Quercetin is fabulous. It's great for allergies as well, any time of the year, but because of its antihistamine properties, it's great if you get allergies in the spring. I would take quercetin with bromelain in like a month before. So in March, I always suggest if you have allergies, start taking it in March. It's fabulous because of the antihistamine properties, but of course, if you have allergies, it's great to get to the root of it, which is usually leaky gut, which is a gut health issue again. So, and I'll just quickly explain what leaky gut is. Basically, when you're born, your intestine is semi-permeable. So your intestine is approximately 2 inches in diameter for adults. And as I mentioned before, there's thousands of villi, which are microscopic hairs that move everything along and absorb nutrients. But when we're born, our intestine is semi-permeable, so it's like a cheesecloth. It has little holes in it because it's not fully formed yet. That's why with newborns, you can't just feed them anything you want. Of course, they don't have teeth. Chewing is the first phase of digestion, so everything has to be blended for infants. But you want to make sure that when you're looking at your intestine, those hairs that move all the food along, when we're born, we have a semi-permeable intestine, so it's like a cheesecloth. So there's little holes. So you have to be very careful what you're feeding babies because undigested proteins can get into the bloodstream through the holes in the intestine because it's not fully formed yet and cause an allergy. That's why when you start feeding solids to babies, to kids, usually when they're around 1 or 9 months to 1 year of age, you have to watch for redness around the mouth and so on. That's because they can get a little allergy, right? Because their intestinal health may not be fully developed, and it's different for every baby. So you give them their first food, you start with one food and you watch. Well, what happens is over time for adults, we're kind of getting that cheesecloth back. We're getting little fissures or little cuts in our intestine. And it's like when we were newborns, right? We're very sensitive to things. Now, newborns, their intestine, it won't be semi-permeable forever. It'll develop and they'll start eating at age 1 and so on, and hopefully be healthy from there. But as adults, what we're finding is we're getting a lot of fissures, which are little cuts. They're microscopic cuts on the inside of the intestine. And sometimes those villi that move everything along are just ripped or wiped right off. And we're not absorbing nutrients then, because that's the role of the villi, is to absorb nutrients. So some people are sensitive. Sometimes they're sensitive to wheat, gluten, dairy, different things, or sometimes they just have poor gut health because years and years of antibiotics or just eating junk food or whatnot. So it's really important if we have digestive issues to get to the root of it, and that's the leaky gut. We want to heal that leaky gut, those little holes, fissures, that cheesecloth. We want to heal that. So that's what leaky gut is, little holes in the intestine. So what happens is undigested proteins get into our bloodstream, and sometimes we get brain fog, sometimes we just don't feel well. And usually when you have those symptoms, they'll label it IBS. And then over the years, if it gets worse, with a microscope, you can see these fissures get bigger, and it might be ulcerative colitis or Crohn's or something like that. But irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, is all all in the gut or the intestine. So it's really important to make sure if we have allergies or we have any digestive issues or gut issues, we're getting to the root of it, which is leaky gut. So we want to heal that gut lining. So a very good, I guess, tool or thing to do first thing in the morning is to have something like a bone broth, because it's very healing. Another idea is this elixir. What you can make at home is you can buy aloe vera juice. It's not aloe vera juice. My kids love aloe vera juice from the health food store, but it's it has some sugar in it, and I'm not talking about those drinks. I'm talking about in the supplement department of the health food store. Healthy Planet will have it. It's aloe vera juice. It's pure aloe vera, and you drink it. There's no flavor. And you can add some probiotic to it. You can even add some liquid chlorophyll. Liquid chlorophyll is very great. It's green. It's the green that's found in plants, and it's very great for detox, and it has lots of nutrients. And you can mix that up, and you can drink it first thing in the morning before you eat. And what that does, just think of what happens when you put aloe vera on a cut. It helps heal it. So think of the healing that will happen in the intestine, right? By having that liquid aloe vera with probiotics and even some liquid chlorophyll. That's a fabulous little mixture that you can have. And then you can follow that by a nice bone broth, because the bone broth has the healing benefits of collagen. There's lots of minerals that are so fabulous for the immune system. The collagen is great for the gut lining. And that's a great way to start your day. So that'll really help with the gut. And of course, some people are super sensitive to wheat and some other foods, so you want to be mindful of watching out. And if you suspect that you're sensitive to certain foods, take them away for at least 2 to 3 weeks. Take one away at a time. And then if you reintroduce it, you'll notice some symptoms. Maybe you'll have brain fog, maybe you'll get a runny nose, but that'll tell you I'm sensitive to wheat, or I'm sensitive to something else that you're testing. And you'll know just to eliminate that for a little while. It doesn't mean that you can't have it ever the rest of your life. It just means while you're healing, you might want to avoid those. So really important to make sure you're doing it one by one. But there's also great collagens that mix, like bone broth with the collagen. So we have a full spectrum collagen 1, 2, 3. There's 40% bovine collagen, 40% marine collagen, and 20% chicken bone broth. So they've already mixed it. Of course, you could mix it yourself with your own collagen and bone broth. That's what I do at home. I take the enhanced collagen and the chicken bone broth, and I mix it together with sea salt. That's very nourishing for healing the gut. But back to the quercetin, it's great for allergy support, and the bromelain in there helps the absorption of the quercetin. So that's another key with the allergies, is to take that quercetin with bromelain, and that really helps because it's an antihistamine, but the bromelain helps the absorption of it. Quercetin is a fabulous antioxidant as well. It's also anti-inflammatory and antiviral, so great for viruses as well. So for the immune system, it's fabulous. And which supplements are key for gut health and immunity? So I've talked a lot about gut health and immunity, but we've got probiotics plus prebiotic powder. Think of, a lot of people ask questions, well, what is the prebiotics? Well, prebiotics, think of it as the fertilizer for your probiotics. Really helps it work well. You've got the collagen and the bone broth, vitamin C, of course. There's a liposomal vitamin C, which is It's encapsulated in a fat, which helps the absorption into the cells. And sometimes people, if they take high doses of ascorbic acid, they could get some digestive upset. So liposomal vitamin C is a way to avoid that. Of course, we've got these vitamin C tabs for immunity, which include zinc and vitamin D. That's a great way to pop it in your water. I give it to my kids all the time during the week because there's no sugar in it. And of course, we have probiotics for kids and for babies as well, and they've included the vitamin D in there too. So just some great supplements, just a few of them that are key for gut health and immunity. And the last slide here is one of my favorites that I love to talk about, natural remedies that have worked for centuries, and what are they? So there's 6 here, and number 1 is stay hydrated. I talked about this quite a lot already. So obviously water is super important. The best trick to tell if you're hydrated, I've been using this with my family since my kids were little. If your urine is still yellow around 3 p.m. when they come home from school, they're not hydrated. Of course, if you took a multivitamin with some B vitamins, it's going to turn your urine fluorescent. So don't count that. But you want your urine to be the color of lemonade, so pale yellow, and that shows that you're really hydrated. You have enough electrolytes, and you know your cells are good. It's really great because water is so important for flushing out toxins, like I mentioned before. Vitamin C for a cold has been a traditional remedy and has been used for centuries. There's even something called an ascorbic acid flush, where you can take higher doses of vitamin C as soon as you get a cold, and it helps flush it out of your system quicker. Hydrotherapy is awesome. Hydrotherapy is basically when you sit in a hot tub or some warm water and it gets your body temperature up. It kind of mimics a fever, and you sweat out any toxins, right? So it's great. And you could even jump in a cold pool or a cold shower after, and that's really good for immunotherapy as well. It's really good for your cell health. Number 4, bone broth and collagen are fabulous for gut healing. Again, these have been traditional remedies that have worked for centuries. They're both fabulous for healing intestinal permeability. So healing that gut lining, it's great. Collagen nourishes the intestinal lining and it reduces inflammation. And it's super easy for a damaged gut to reap the benefits of collagen and bone broth. If you take away those foods that you might be sensitive to, if you suspect that and you're using this daily, it's fabulous. Number 5, wet sock treatment. Okay, this is probably my all-time favorite. And for those of you that have never heard of the wet sock treatment, Google it later and get some more information. But basically, I'm very fortunate that somebody taught me this before I had my children, because I used it when they were born and I still use it today. So what it is basically you take a pair of cotton socks and you wet them and you wring them out very well. And then you put them on your feet. And then you take a pair of wool socks and you put them over top. And you do that before bedtime and you sleep with it. So at first it is kind of uncomfortable putting wet socks on. Usually they're a little cold because they're wet. And then you put the wool socks over top. And what it does is if you have a fever, it pulls the fever down and all the heat goes into your feet. And I swear it's magic, because every time I've done it with my kids, I love it in the morning. I take off the wool socks and the cotton socks are dry and crunchy. And your fever gets pulled down to your feet and the wet socks draw it down and the warmth from the fever dries the socks. So it's fabulous. It's one of my favorite therapies for cold and flu. And it sounds strange, but it's super effective for keeping colds away or breaking a fever. People I find today fear the fever. Now, of course, we don't want a fever to get super high. You go see a doctor or you go to the hospital if it is, but we're so quick to use Tylenol to fight a fever. And these traditional remedies work so well. There's also so many great homeopathics like not Arnica, belladonna and Fairfoss are fabulous for fighting fevers naturally. With this wet sock treatment, it's just works so well. The first sign of an illness, you can use it. If you have a fever, if you're congested, it will help. You don't just necessarily have to have a fever. All you need, again, is the pair of cotton socks and a thick pair of wool socks. And you just go through the steps as I mentioned. So your body will work hard to warm up the cold foot and the sock by increasing blood flow and circulation to the feet. It's like I said, it's magic. And I love in the morning. It's actually funny because my kids, they're over 6 feet tall now. And a couple weekends ago, my youngest, who's 15 and a half, he had a fever and he was getting a sore throat. So he woke up in the middle of the night and I did the wet sock treatment with him. And it was so funny because I haven't done it in probably a couple of years with him, because knock on wood, he just hasn't had a fever. And so I wrung out the socks and I put them on his feet. And it was so hard because his feet are big. They're size 11 and a half men. And I just was laughing to myself because it used to be so easy when his feet were baby feet and toddler feet, because I still used adult wool socks and I just put their little baby socks on. But it was like this massive foot. I was helping him put them on because he wasn't feeling well. And then I put these big wool socks over top. But that's one of my favorite gifts to give if someone's having a new baby is wool socks. And actually Indigo is selling wool socks right now in like these coffee mugs. That's just on the side note. So it's a really good gift. So definitely your body will work hard to warm up the socks, and that's how it works. So it's great for just moving the circulation towards the feet and away from the head. Lastly, number 6, receive the sunshine. So this is fabulous. This next to wet sock treatment are my 2 probably favorite ones that I've used the longest. And receiving the sunshine is so important because being outside affects our nervous system, and we should get some bright light, ideally sunlight, in our eyes within the early hours of waking. So it doesn't mean you have to look up at the sun and like hurt your eyes, but you don't want to have sunglasses on. You want to have the sun hit your face and hit your eyes. And if you're in the sun in the morning for 10 to 20 minutes or under 15 minutes, you won't burn. It's just good to, especially in the morning, it's not that strong, but we should all get that sunlight in our eyes in the early hours of waking. And if you can do that, it is great. I always say to my kids, I was away at a hockey tournament last weekend with my son, and we were busy. We were basically in the rink and the hotel the whole weekend, but I did make sure we went down to the car early and just sat outside for 10 minutes and talked. It was a nice weekend 2 weekends ago, because getting that sunlight on your face is super, super important, because what it does, it puts a number of neurochemicals and hormones into a state of positivity. So our mood is enhanced, our immune system is greatly enhanced, our immune function is enhanced, our sleep is actually enhanced if we do this in the morning, 16 to 20 hours later. So if you do it at 8 a.m. in the morning, later when you go to bed, you will have a better sleep because you did that at 8 a.m. in the morning. You got that sun on your face. Also in the evening, because the sun is a symbol, it's a very important for anchoring our subconscious physiology. And every cell in our body has a 24-hour clock. So we need to time it to the rise and the fall of the sun each day. So when you think of people, I remember my parents, even when I was in high school, talking about people that never got outside, or night owls, that would be very pale and never got into the sunshine. Well, in the evening, the sun, because it's a symbol, it's really important because it helps our sleep. And when humans become misaligned with the rising and the falling of the sun, bad things happen. Bad things happen to the nervous system. So it's so great for resetting our nervous system. And fortunately, it's very easy to fix. So an interesting study done by the University of Colorado took college kids camping for 2 days and 2 nights. And what they found was that the melatonin rhythms, so melatonin is a hormone that we produce in our body that helps us fall asleep. the cortisol rhythms, the dopamine, the epinephrine, and the rhythms of the body could be instantly reinstated to their proper timing just by going to sleep and waking up and seeing the sunshine. I think that's like totally amazing. So as much as possible, receive the sunshine in the morning. You know, just get outside. What I try and do is I have my tea in the morning. I sit on my porch because it's very sunny. I even do it in the wintertime. And I put my big coat on and my toque and and I don't wear my sunglasses, or I'll take them off, and I'll have my tea. And it's just a great habit that you can get into. But be very mindful of the sun, because the sun is a symbol. It's not trivial, but it's an anchor by which our biology is designed and our psychology follows. So really important. Be mindful, I guess, of that last tip, because, you know, of course, mental health is really important as well. So thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I will check the chat. I do want to mention that all Organica products are 20% off at Healthy Planet for the month of October, which is super exciting. And I will now look at some questions. So I can see that there is quite a few in the chat here. The first question here is, at what age, if any, is collagen ineffective? Well, that's a great question, Carol. I don't think it's ineffective at any age. I mean, at age 20, in our 20s, we start to lose the amount of collagen that we produce by 1%. And by our 50s, it's almost 50%. So I'll be 47 next month. So I have to make sure I keep having my collagen daily, because in a few years, it's going to be 50% less. So you can continue to take it, and it's recommended. It's fabulous for joint health, skin health. It's so good for the gut health, as I mentioned. And it's fabulous to take ongoing as we age. I think it's something to really help us age gracefully. So what are good sources of collagen for vegans? So this is a good question. So I would definitely make sure we're consuming enough vitamin C as vegans, because it helps in the production of our natural collagen. But there's also a great product Organica makes that is plant-based collagen booster. So there's no collagen in it, because obviously collagen is not vegan, but it helps boost our own collagen, and it's loaded with antioxidants and vitamin C. So it's really good for vegans. So another question here, as vegans doing intermittent fasting and having fruit plates for breakfast, can we absorb 35 grams of protein twice daily? So I just want to make sure I understand this. So intermittent fasting, having fruit plates for breakfast. I'm not sure if I totally understand this question, but if you're vegan and you're doing intermittent fasting, fruit is great. 35 grams of protein is good to take twice daily. Oh, I think you're asking how much daily. 35 times 2 is 70. So 70 grams, it really depends on the person. I take well over 100 grams of protein daily. So I'm working out, I'm active, and it really depends on the person. I'd say an average sedentary person that does nothing needs about 70 grams of protein per day. So if you're more active than a couch potato, you'd probably need a little bit more protein per day. Okay, how would gut health help with depression? So this is a good question. As I mentioned earlier, food and mood are very connected. And sometimes if we have a lot of food sensitivities, or we have leaky gut syndrome, as I mentioned before, it can affect our mood and our mental health. So definitely working with your healthcare practitioner is ideal. But the gut, it produces so many different hormones, and it's so important and affects our mood. It affects our serotonin, which is our hormone that's responsible for our mood. So definitely when our gut health is working, or our gut health is optimal and it's very healthy, it will definitely help with any, with lots of mood sort of mood or depression issues that people are having. But again, very important to make sure you're working with your healthcare practitioner, because not knowing the person's health history, it's kind of hard to recommend things, but definitely food and mood are connected. What can vegans take as a substitute for bone broth? Well, there's a fabulous veggie broth. It tastes amazing. You can take that as a vegan, and you'll have lots of good nutrients in there, like L-glutamine is fabulous for gut health. And L-glutamine is from the organic vegetables in our Organica's veggie broth. So that is fabulous substitute for bone broth. Next question. In the Northern Hemisphere, we don't get sunshine every day. We can get many consecutive cloudy days. Yes, Antonella, that is true. Many consecutive cloudy days is right. And that's why it really is important to supplement with vitamin D. People that live close to the equator get around 3,000 IUs of vitamin D per day, and they're in the sun, right? So us in Canada, we're not getting that. So really minimum for me is 3,000 per day. So you want to make sure you're getting enough daily for sure. Okay, next question. Oops. No. Okay, there's quite a few questions here. Okay, I had a suggestion to change from Organica Enhanced Collagen to Collagen Full Spectrum 1, 2, 3. I am 78 years old. I have osteoarthritis and psoriasis. Oops, sorry, I just got to scroll up to the question. What do you think? Okay, great question, Carol. So definitely the Enhanced Collagen Full Spectrum type 1, 2, 3 was a great suggestion, because if you were taking the Enhanced Collagen before, that's fabulous. It's a type 1 collagen and a type 3 collagen. With the Full Spectrum 1, 2, and 3, you're getting the extra type 2 collagen that's from bone broth. So that is specifically great for osteoarthritis. So the type 2 collagen in the broth will really help with the osteoarthritis. Of course, the Enhanced Collagen has a type 1 and 3, which is great for joint health and skin and lots of things to do with the gut as well. But for the full spectrum, you're getting all three. So you may as well go for the full spectrum if you have the osteoarthritis. Psoriasis is a skin issue, and it will really help with the gut. As I mentioned earlier, any issues with the gut, you'll see a reflection on your skin. So make sure your bowels are working properly. Probiotics are fabulous, and drinking enough water to help move the bowels to make sure you're having a healthy bowel movement daily. And of course, the full spectrum type 1, 2, 3 collagen would be a great one to take. And then if collagen is found in bone broth, then why collagen? So great question. Again, I did touch on this earlier, but think of Enhanced Collagen as, well, I'll start with the bone broth. Think of bone broth that has collagen in there. And then we also have some minerals in there as well, and some nutrients. And it's kind of like a good broth to have. It's great for the gut health. It's a type 2 collagen. And then the Enhanced Collagen, the collagen on its own is kind of isolated, and you're getting a good dose of collagen there. So I personally use both. So they are a little bit different in that way, but you can definitely use them both together. Okay, I think because the collagen supplements have other components to it, like amino acids. Yes, exactly. That was, you answered your own question. But of course, having both will help as well. And you can definitely have both together. Another question, I have been taking collagen by Organica for 5 years. What other supplements work great with young kids? So, you know what, I think the foundational products for gut health are amazing for kids. Probiotics, we have a great kids probiotic and a baby probiotic. Bone broth is fabulous. I mean, I was giving my kids bone broth when they were toddlers in sippy cups, lukewarm bone broth. They loved it. Swap that for any juice or sugary drink, and that's amazing. Next question. Can you take probiotics and collagen together on a daily basis on long term? So definitely you can take collagen on a daily basis long term. It's fabulous. Probiotics are great to take. I like to cycle in and out of it. So right now my whole family's on it, my one kid, as you know, a couple weeks ago wasn't feeling well. I always start probiotics. I take them every season. So usually September when they're back in school, and it's good to cycle off it a little bit as well. Take some good foods and stuff. Of course, if you're on antibiotics, you want to make sure you take probiotics afterwards. So, but collagen is definitely something you can take long-term for sure. What is the best time to take collagen? Well, you can take it any time of the day, which is fabulous. You can take it in your morning coffee, you can bake with it, you can put it in cold drinks. I personally love to have a nice little, it's not a tea, but it's a hot drink I make. I use enhanced collagen and chicken bone broth at night. It's a good dose of protein and it's really good for the gut. And it's very nourishing and filling because you're getting about over 15 grams, probably closer to 25 grams, which is considered kind of a meal of protein. So that's a really good way to get in some protein as well. Okay, do you suggest prebiotics or probiotics? And what is the difference? This is a great question. So probiotics, as I mentioned earlier, are the good bacteria found in your gut, and it's important to replace it throughout our lifetime and throughout the year, I should say, because if we use antibiotics, drink chlorinated water, and eat junk food, we can diminish our good probiotics in our gut. So replacing with probiotics, either supplement or food items, is great. Prebiotics are great because they help the probiotics work better. I always like to say, think of prebiotics as the fertilizer for the probiotics. They're really good fibers and things like that that really help the probiotics take root. What do you suggest for IBS issues? So definitely for IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, you want to really take out any foods that are causing any inflammation or any irritation. So really stick to foods that come from Mother Nature, foods that nothing's been done to it, just to figure out if you have any food sensitivity. So get rid of any processed foods like flours and things like that. And really heal the gut. Bone broth, collagen is fabulous for that. Probiotics, that aloe vera juice from the supplement department of the store, not the sugary aloe vera juice drinks, is great because it really heals the gut lining, and you can put some probiotics and some liquid chlorophyll in there and mix it around. Usually aloe vera doesn't have flavor, but you're just doing a little bit, to get in the gut, and it's very healing. So very good for you. Yes, Lily of the Desert is a great brand of the aloe vera gel. I'm just scrolling down here. Is the wet sock treatment good to get rid of water retention in the feet and legs? Not to my knowledge. I use it for colds and flus, but I've never heard of it working for water retention in the feet and legs, but I could be wrong. I don't want to comment on that because I'm not sure. Yes, you will be receiving a recording of this presentation, Alda. Thanks for asking. It is recorded. You should get an email in, I think, 1 to 2 days. Healthy Planet will send it out. Okay, so for rheumatoid arthritis, I don't think the wet sock treatment, to my knowledge, could benefit rheumatoid arthritis, but maybe speak to your naturopathic doctor or a doctor. I specifically am educated on it from a cold and flu perspective. Osteoarthritis, the wet sock treatment, not to my knowledge, but type 2 collagen found in the bone broth and our regular collagen is fabulous for osteoarthritis. Oh, you're very welcome, Monica. I'm glad you liked all this info. Just scrolling down. Oh, you're welcome, Gwen. Thank you for the comment. Lisa, yes, I believe in red light therapy. It is fabulous. Red light therapy is great for our health and our immune system. Yes, stomach lining is great by taking probiotics for sure. You can really help your stomach lining with probiotics. Linda, you're very welcome. She said, thank you very much for sharing all this knowledgeable information with us. It is interesting and useful. Yes, I love sharing it. Thanks for listening in. So another question, can probiotics help alone instead of taking antibiotics, which harms the gut? So it's a little bit different. Antibiotics will work to heal an infection for whatever, say you're taking antibiotics for strep throat. It'll get rid of the infection and it'll kill all the bacteria. The thing is, it gets rid of our good bacteria too. So taking probiotics won't get rid of the infection that you're taking the antibiotics for. There are natural remedies from a naturopathic doctor that could work if you, instead of taking antibiotics. I've used them for my kids and for myself and for my husband, but you'd have to talk to a naturopathic doctor about that. But probiotics specifically are great for putting the good bacteria back in your gut. Just scrolling down. Is the enhanced collagen full spectrum 1, 2, 3 good if you have rheumatoid arthritis? They said RA, but I think they mean rheumatoid arthritis. And I would say it is fabulous for arthritis, especially because we've added that type 2 collagen in there, which is good for arthritis. And you're also getting the type 1 and 3 from the enhanced collagen. So it is a fabulous product. You're welcome. Lots of thank yous. You're all very welcome. Thank you for joining. How to make bone broth? That was a question. Well, Organica makes their bone broth by boiling the bones for over 24 hours. And if you've ever made, soup from your turkey at Thanksgiving or your turkey at Christmas time, you'll, boil the bones, and then all those minerals and nutrients from the bones are in the broth. And Organica dries it to a powder. And it's super convenient because you can take it wherever you go and you just add it to some hot water. So you either, that's how Organica makes it, but if you wanted to make it on your own, you would boil the bones from your turkey or your beef bones or whatever you choose for at least 24 hours. And you can even add some apple cider vinegar to the water, and that helps bring out the minerals from the bones as well. So very nourishing. Okay, and I think that wraps up all our questions. Again, you will be getting a recording of this presentation. So I just like to say thanks so much for joining, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening. What's left of the evening here, it's just after 8 o'clock here in Ontario. So thanks so much for joining, and I hope to see you guys at our next webinar. And if you need any information at all, you can find out more about Organica at organica.com. or find us on social media at Organica Health on Instagram. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye for now.